is an award-winning journalist who has contributed to and edited some of Canada's top publications, including the Globe and Mail, Chatelaine, and Refinery 29. However, some say she struck her real fortune as the New York Times best-selling author of the hit novels Every Summer After and Meet Me at the Lake. Here to chat about her newest love story, This Summer Will Be Different, please welcome the one and only Carley Fortune. Excited to meet you.
Ditto.
Let me tell you, the speed and ferocity in which I read this book was unparalleled.
I love hearing that.
Yeah.
That makes me so happy.
It's absolutely beautiful. But before you started working in novels, like we discussed, you were a journalist.
I was a journalist for 16 years.
Yeah. So, and then about 3 years ago, you decided to take the switch and go into novel writing.
Yeah, I started writing my first book in 2020, the summer of 2020. And
I wonder why, what happened then?
Well, it was actually, I was working and I was really stressed out at work and I felt like I needed to reclaim my creativity and I always wanted to write a book. And so I just said, I'm gonna write a book, I'm gonna finish it by the end of the year and I just wanna show myself I can do it. And so it was a personal project for me and it was a revelation. I felt like I was doing what I was meant to be doing and then I very fortunately ended up publishing the book and here we are.
That's so fantastic. And I read somewhere you said something along the lines of doing something that you love can lead to so many different ways. Like don't always put aside the things that you actually love to do that gives you joy. Because it can lead to being a New York Times best-selling author.
No, I loved writing when I was a kid. Like I made up stories, I told scary stories on the school bus, but I didn't think that was a real job. Like I didn't think I could ever be an author. And I ended up studying journalism. I loved magazines. But I think oftentimes as adults, when we go back to what we loved as children, we can find a lot of joy and fulfillment there.
That's super true. I love how much your books take place in like locations. It's almost like the location is a character in and of itself. Your first two books, I believe you grew up kind of in and around Ontario cottage country.
Yes, I did,
The lake is so important, and in this book, we've got PEI.
Prince Edward Island.
Prince Edward Island. Why PEI?
I went there when I was in my early 20s with my best friend for the first time, and I just fell in love with the island. I loved Anne of Green Gables growing up, the books, and also the 80s movies.
Oh, so
starring
good.
Megan Follows and Jonathan Crombie. Like that, to me, I watched them. I had them on VHS, and I watched them over and over
You like
and over
burned
again.
out the tape.
I tried to dye my hair red. So many times that a hairstylist was like, "You've ruined your hair," and I had to cut it off.
Oh no!
No, it's for real. And so I love. And when I went to the island, I had this romantic notion of what it would be like, and it exceeded all my expectations. And when I started writing Every Summer After, I thought, if I can write books one day, I want to set something on Prince Edward Island. And so I went back a couple more times as I was researching, writing the book, and it's just such a magical place.
It really is. As soon as you touch down, there's a scene in the book where Lucy, the main character, touches down and describes the airport, how you kind of feel like a celebrity because you exit right onto the tarmac and you like walk off the plane and there's the two awnings that are just arrival and departures, and it's such a lovely experience. You immediately get the island vibe.
Totally, you totally do. And when my best friend and I went there when we were in our 20s, we said we're only going to eat seafood when we're here. We went straight into Charlottetown, ordered a dozen oysters from the oyster shucker at the bar, and he said, "Where are you in from?" And we said, "Toronto." And he said, "I'm sorry. Welcome home."
Oh my gosh!
And it really stuck with me. It really stuck with me.
Now,
Lucy has a bit of a different experience after that.
Quite different. In the first 15 pages, very different. Yes. There were so many things in this book that I like grabbed onto. I love how much Canadiana is in this as well. And being a New York Times best-selling author, you do have a lot of Canada in here. My favorite was your mention of Sloan. My husband used to play on Sloan's record label, and actually this past Friday, their keyboardist whooped my button euchre. Just absolutely crushed me. Greg, I'm coming for you next time. I love how real it feels and how good the characters feel. But I want to go back really quickly to your first trip. You went with your best friend.
Yes.
And in this book, the female relation, like the friend relationship is so important. And oftentimes in romance novels, It's the romantic relationship that takes precedent. This kind of gave me Anne and Diana vibes.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
But was that purposeful? Why do you focus on that?
It was. I love exploring female relationships, and I hadn't written a book where it was really an investigation into a friendship. And so it is a romance, but it is also about Lucy and her best friend Bridget kind of growing up together in their 20s. I see it as coming of age in your 20s, and they start out as work friends, and then they're roommates, and they share everything like we do when we're younger with our friends. But then of course, you know, they get bigger jobs, they meet significant others, they move out, and they're right now trying to figure out what their friendship is now that they don't share everything. They have secrets from each other, they have separate lives, and it's a really loving relationship, but it's also complicated. And I think long-lasting relationships are very complicated.
Completely. The more puzzle pieces there are, the more complicated the puzzle's going to be. Yeah, that completely makes sense. Well, I have been so delighted being transported to the beaches of PEI as I've read this book. And this is a total beach read. They also talk a lot about food. Like there's lots of preferences.
We love food.
We love food.
We love food.
So like what would be your dream kind of like beach snack if you were reading your own book?
Oh, I think a lobster roll for this one would be a really, and some maybe PEI cider. They have some great cider on the island. But if you're not on the beach, then you have to have oysters.
You gotta have oysters.
You have to have Prince Edward Island oysters.
100%. Now, there's also something else that plays, I would count it as a main character in this story. And it's something that I love about PEI so much. It's some of my favorite flavors, and I feel like we might have some right here. We got my favorite from Cow's Creamery. This butter.
Oh my gosh, this butter
is a key character in this book. And if you've got butter as a character, you can sign me up.
It's kind of a romance about this butter.
It pretty much is. Yeah. Well, I wanted to give this to you. We've got Cow's chips, we've got Cow's butter.
Oh my gosh.
And you can't be the only one getting a gift. So thanks to Carly, you are all going home with a copy of This Summer Will Be Different. It's such a great book. You're going to absolutely love it. Carly, huge congratulations.
Thank you.
It's been so delightful chatting with you. Hey, Mary here. What did you think? Drop your comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more of the good stuff.